So I just finished watching X-Men 97. All 10 episodes are out there for your viewing pleasure on Disney+. And this is a continuation of the amazing animated X-Men series from back in the day. I know a lot of people love the original X-Men series. I gotta say, I never really grew up with the X-Men animated series, but going back and rewatching a couple of episodes before 97, I'm like, this is a really fun show. And a lot of people were hyping this up to be the best thing that Marvel Studios, television, animation, whatever you want to call them nowadays. It's the best thing the MCU has put out since Endgame in a lot of people's eyes. That is a bold statement. But as I mentioned, this series continues the story of the original animated series from the 90s. And if you recall, at the end of the animated series, Professor X nearly dies in an assassination attempt, and he's taken to space to be healed by the alien Shi'ar Empire. The 97 series begins a year later, and we see the X-Men facing new challenges without their mentor, and they're under the leadership of their former rival Magneto. All the while, the X-Men's dream is put to the test as mutant-human relations reach a huge tipping point. And back at Charles's mansion, a behind-the-scenes press event risks airing the X-Men's dirty laundry, all as Genosha prepares to join the UN. In short, there is a lot going on in this series. And let me say this first and foremost. When I was done watching X-Men 97, and they leave you on a cliffhanger here, but I can't wait for them to come out with a season 2 because X-Men 97 is just so freaking fun. And I think I've put my finger on why people love X-Men 97 so much. I don't think it's just because this animation is so colorful and so eye-popping. The 2D style isn't normally seen, especially in the comic book world nowadays, but it's so refreshing to see this style in this day and age. And I don't think it's just because of the exhilarating action sequences either, especially just on your small screen when you're watching this. Like, this action is just so incredible. And these animators can get away with so much more outlandish because it's animation. So the scenarios that you see here, live action could not do this action justice. And I think it's absolutely brilliant what they do with the action sequences. All the characters are super well realized. I would say the heart of this show when it comes to the X-Men team as a whole, I think the heart of this show lies in the relationship between Cyclops and Jean Grey. Both of whom add a lot of emotion to this. The voice acting is just top tier. I mean, this checks all the boxes when you want a well-rounded comic book style material. Vibrant colors, beautiful drawings, great animation, great characters, some funny dialogue woven here and there. It's easy to see why this show has grown to be so beloved, because it was just so much fun to watch. Even right down to the opening titles and the iconic theme music popping up again. That brings me to why I think people love this show so much. X-Men 97 is a series that is swimming in the vast ocean of nostalgia. Why? Exactly what I said. The 2D animation, very vibrant colors, vintage feeling music. And it honestly feels like a 2024 Saturday morning cartoon. Just like the original X-Men animated series was, and just like any cartoon that my little brother and I would watch every morning before going to school. Like, I swear, it didn't matter what cartoon was on that morning, we would be laser focused on the TV screen with a giant bowl of cereal for at least an hour before going to classes. Like, I feel like what makes X-Men 97 stand out amongst all the other Marvel projects that we've gotten since 2008, this one really just makes you feel like a kid again. And I think that's what's been missing from a vast majority of these Marvel projects, not named Thor Ragnarok, or dare I say Thor Love and Thunder. Because say what you want about the latter, but Taika Waititi knows how to give you that vintage 70s feeling Saturday morning cartoon. Like, the whole vibe of those movies, you know what I mean? It just feels like something you would turn on at 10 o'clock in the morning and you would be sitting there at breakfast time and you would just be hooked. X-Men 97 is a true Saturday morning cartoon in 2024. And I loved it. It was so freaking entertaining. The characters were all very well realized, as I've mentioned. But here's where I'm sure I'm going to trigger a lot of you people watching this. As much as I loved X-Men 97, do not get that twisted. Nobody try to illegitimize me in the comments for what I'm about to say. It's not my personal favorite Marvel project since Endgame. Matter of fact, I don't even really think it's fair to compare this to Infinity War or Endgame and say that this is the best of the best. Because it's like comparing strawberries and watermelon. They're two very different things, and both are extremely delicious. You can't compare those two. just because of how different and unique they are to one another. Like, if you want to watch X-Men 97, if you want to watch cartoons, go watch that. If you want something a little bit more grounded, and if you want something more epic feeling, go watch Infinity War or Endgame. You get my point? Like, I don't think it's fair to compare this series to the best of the best Marvel Studios projects, because it's like 3 different branches now. You have Marvel Television, you have Marvel Studios, you have Marvel Animation now. As far as animation series go, I enjoy this more than What If, for sure. Television, though, I wouldn't even put this over Loki. Like, I'm being honest here, because there was one specific What If that I could not get past, and my brain just could not shake watching this. Not to be confused with the other Marvel animation series. Give me season 3 sooner rather than later, please. But this is where I'm gonna dig into heavy spoilers for X-Men 97. So if you haven't started this series yet, now is a good time to pause the video, finish up the series wherever you are, and then come right back. And this is me really nitpicking here and looking for something to nitpick. But here's the thing, guys. I mentioned earlier that it was a presumed assassination of Charles Xavier, which ended the original animated series. And the first 3 episodes or so, the X-Men are making off like, yeah, Xavier's gone. We don't have a mentor anymore. And we have to listen to Magneto, this fucking whack job now. But around episode 4 or so, it is revealed that Charles Xavier is still alive. And what am I getting at? I honestly kind of feel like the story would have been a lot more interesting in 97 if Xavier were left dead. Now, I completely understand why these animators and these creators have put Xavier into the show, because aside from Wolverine, name me a more famous X-Man than Charles Xavier. He's instantly recognizable, he's so easy to love, so I totally understand why Xavier is in 97. And hell, the stuff with him and Magneto, those were probably among my favorite scenes in this season. But it's almost like I've seen, like, at least a half dozen X-Men movies up to this point. I don't know how many X-Men movies are out there. I don't know if you count the Deadpool movies. If you do count Deadpool, easily almost 10. But the vast majority of them have this feud between Xavier and Magneto. And it's almost like if you take Xavier out of the equation and you have Magneto running roughshod over the team, that's something a little bit different. I guess what I'm getting at is I kind of wish X-Men 97's story had something a little bit more unique to itself to make it stand out. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the story of X-Men 97 is bad whatsoever. It is extremely riveting from start to finish. But I think if you take Charles Xavier out of this whole equation, like, what if you did? I honestly think you could have had something just as good, if not better. Because that dynamic, in my opinion, would have been so much more interesting to see play out. Because it's not something that we really have seen before. But aside from that little nitpick, guys, I know I kind of went off a little bit on this show, but don't get it twisted. This is a phenomenal series. I think Marvel Studios has really struck gold with reviving the animated series here. I can't wait to see where they take these characters next. I can't wait to see where each one of these characters' journeys takes them. And I can't wait to see what other shenanigans our beloved mutants get into. I'm going to give X-Men 97 an A. I feel like I had to explain myself a little bit before I gave that grade. Because I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of you that are like, why isn't it an A+, Zach? Hey, if you think this series deserves an A+, I'm not stopping you. I'm just making a video giving my opinion. And if this is your first time visiting the channel, do subscribe. Tap on that thumbs up as well. Welcome. It's a great community of geeks, film lovers, and entertainment lovers alike over here, and y'all are invited to join us. We're talking all new things in the movie world, in the television world, in the MCU world. There's a lot of great things coming down the pipeline, guys, especially as we get deeper into the summer season. We got Deadpool and Wolverine coming up, speaking of Marvel, and I'm very excited for that. And I think there's no more appropriate time to announce that in the build-up to Deadpool and Wolverine, there will be a retro playlist very different from anything else you've seen on my channel so far. I'm not going to review every single X-Men movie just for the sake of time, but I'm going to select a fair few of those 20th Century Fox X-Men related movies in the build-up to Deadpool and Wolverine, and all of these movies may involve one of or both guys. That's your hint, and I can't wait to bring that playlist to you. So if you want to keep up to date with all that content and much, much more, one more reminder to subscribe and like this video. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. And with all that being said, Back Talk commence.